Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we join our hero Dan in his seemingly endless struggle with the West Shore RCMP and Crown prosecutors. But before we get into the video, I just have one thing to say. Corporal Thompson, I looked at your LinkedIn page. I saw the pictures of you being all tactical with your M4 and other weapons. I read all of your accolades and self-imposed backslapping nonsense, and I just have one thing to say to you. Get off the range and go to the library, where I'm sure with all your investigative skills, you will find a copy of the Canadian Charter of Rights. Yeah, never mind. Just ask the librarian. I'm sure she can point it out to you. But then please read said charter. Then that way you can uphold your oath instead of being an oath breaker. And Mr. Barber, you as well should heed that advice. Now, please enjoy the video.
Well, the lunch break is over. It's time to go back to court. Welcome to Documenting and Exposing West Shore RCMP. This is part 22. So upon going back to court after the lunch break, I found the sheriff that witnessed Mr. Barber threatened to follow me home, and him and I had a very lengthy discussion. He indicated to me that him and some other sheriffs had another lengthy discussion with Mr. Barber. To quote the sheriff, his exact words that he said to me, and I'll never forget him saying this to me, he says, we told him that kind of shit doesn't fly around here. So, of course, I explained to the sheriff that, if that's the way the prosecutor's going to treat me, I don't feel safe, Made it clear that the prosecutor should not be threatening to follow an unrepresented accused person's home. It's ridiculous, and he agreed with me. And so anyways, the trial continued. And I'm sure a lot of people are thinking that the first thing I'm going to say to the judge is I'm going to tell the judge what happened, but I'm not going to tell the judge what happened because that will probably end my day in court here and this entire proceeding. And that's not what I want. I've been waiting almost 2 years for this day in court to cross-examine Corporal Kundu-Thomsen. And no amount of threats or intimidation are going to stop me from doing that. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, pretend nothing happened, and we're going to go back and we're going to finish cross-examining Corporal Kundu-Thomsen here. So, as I'm heading back in the building, it's a little different this time than it was earlier because now I'm all by myself. No more witness. He had to go. So it's kind of odd. I'm now in the courtroom with just the court staff, the sheriffs, and the prosecutor, Mr. Barber. Absolutely nobody is watching this proceeding. And as we all came back into the courtroom after the break, Mr. Barber took the opportunity to apologize to me. He had a few things to say about how that was not appropriate, and he apologized. And it's a shame that there was no one there to witness this, because this is all off the record, and of course, there's a court order that no recording take place in the courtroom. Now you know why. Here we go, the trial continues.
And recalling the matter of Dan, Your Honor, and witness, having previously been affirmed, I remind you you are still under that affirmation.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I understand.
All right, Dan.
Thank you, Your Honor. We actually took a break at a perfect time because the next thing I wanted to do was play the videos in sequential order. These are the videos that the RCMP downloaded off my devices, which they seized. These are the videos that show the allegations that the police made against me and the reasons for my arrest. And what I'd like to do is play all those videos from the day of my arrest that they arrested me. And after those videos have played, I have a series of questions that I'd like to ask Corporal Kundu-Thomsen about those videos specifically.
And how is he going to see what you're talking about it? How will he see this?
I wouldn't know. Help? Need help?
Sure. So, Your Honor, what? It's not ideal, certainly. And subject to comments that Dan has about it. This is what Corporal Kundu-Thomsen seized. So, I haven't done this before through video, but I think if Dan plays it, it will be visible to
Then
the
how
officer.
will I see it?
Has he seen the videos?
Your Honor,
He's seen 2 of them.
if Dan held up the laptop for the witness, you would see it on the big screen.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Well, just try it.
And, Madam Clerk, you said hold this laptop?
Yes. So if you start.
Okay. So there was one thing before the videos, and that's a radio communication, Corporal Kundu-Thomsen, that Corporal Baden-Jones made to you. Do you recall the radio transmissions between yourself and Corporal Baden-Jones?
I do not, my lord. I have not heard the radio transmission audio, no.
And so, do you recall whether or not Corporal Baden-Jones informed you over the radio that there was a person who claimed to be with independent media before you approached me?
I do not recall that,
Okay.
my lord. And I have not reviewed the audios. I can also not see Dan. He's off screen.
It's just audio right now.
I still cannot see Dan.
Dan, can I come forward and
Yes.
try to help you?
Please, yeah.
So is it plugged into this right now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. That may not be. Is that plugged in?
Yes, they're all plugged in.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Power. Hold on.
Yeah.
Did the light come on perchance?
Should be on.
So, Corporal, this is just an audio clip of the radio transmission that Corporal Jones
Oh, it went
made
on.
to you before you approached me.
The lady said he was with independent media, which I have no idea what that is.
Do you recall that audio, that radio transmission?
My lord, I can't make out any of that. It's very, I couldn't make anything discernible out of that from my end. Unfortunately,
Try it one more time.
I apologize. The video that I'm watching of you looks almost like a VHS tape that has been taped over tape. It's very patchy in the resolution. And the audio, I can hear you, but that was. I apologize.
I'll try one more time. Here goes.
The lady said he was with independent media, which I have no idea what that is.
I can discern the words it is. At the end, that is all I could make out. I'm sorry. If you could, perhaps repeat what he said. I would be able to hear that.
What he said was, I believe he's with independent media. I don't really know what that is. That's what whoever the voice on the, sorry.
Yeah. It did. The tail end of it did sound a little bit like Corporal Jones. But again, the audio, and your screen, all I see is a big white screen on the laptop. So if there's anything there, I can't make that out either.
My lord, I'm just going to stand. Dan is unrepresented. I think at this point I have to stand up and...
I'm going to stop the whole thing.
Yeah.
This is a fiasco.
Yeah.
I'm declaring a mistrial. I understand that counsel, in cooperation with Dan, agreed to this all proceeding by video link, which is incredibly sensible. It clearly is not going to work.
Yes, I don't think it is, Your Honor.
All right. So I'm declaring a mistrial.
All right.
And is the JCM here today?
She is, yes.
We'll remit the matter back to the JCM to fix a date for a one-day trial.
All right.
It was initially set for 2 days.
1 day is fine.
1 day? Okay.
Well, this gentleman's evidence is relatively straightforward. As I say, about an hour's worth of evidence, I think, other than the constant stopping.
Yes, Your Honor. And I think, to be fair to Dan, the Crown will have to consider. I don't think we're going to be able to do this by video if...
You can't do it by video.
Yeah. And?
Unless you have some way to. Unless there is some... Well, and there is... You can do it, obviously. You could have everybody watch the same video, including remotely in Cornwallis. Is that where you are?
That is correct, my lord.
In Cornwallis. That's all we can. Oh. That's doable.
Yeah.
Whether the game is worth the candle I leave to the Crown.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, what an incredibly huge waste of time that was. So thanks to Robert, the bully in black, the judge of errors, EC's most dangerous judge, for kicking me out of my hearing in January, where I was going to make an application to have Corporal Kundu-Thomsen appear in person because he wouldn't be able to see or hear the videos from remotely from Ontario via video conference. I was kicked out of that hearing though, so this is exactly what I didn't want to happen, to have this get thrown out of court, to have a mistrial, to have this start all over again. We're now probably going to have to reschedule a new trial. I wonder how far away they're going to schedule this new trial. So this is exactly what I didn't want to happen, and this is what's happened. What I wanted was to get a judge's decision. I wanted to get some case law with my own name on it, and I could hold that up to the screen and say, here's my full name. Here's case law in my full name. But that's been denied. Justice has been denied. Justice delayed is justice denied. So here's a quick video we made before I left the court that day. Hello, good citizens. My name is Dan. Today is March 3rd, 2020, and today is the first day of my trial for the charge of mischief for being arrested at the West Shore RCMP detachment for filming and photographing in public. So the trial proceeded. However, the police officer that arrested me, Arun Kundu-Thomsen, has been transferred to Ontario. He was appearing by video, and we couldn't play the video evidence that I have in a manner that he would be able to see it. So the judge, Judge Malin McKim, he ordered a mistrial. So the trial has basically been canceled and has to be started over again in an entirely new proceeding. The Crown, Nicholas Barber from Nanaimo, he said that he may not be able to fly Corporal Kundu-Thomsen out to Victoria because he's been transferred to Ontario. He said that may not be viable, and this proceeding may be completely canceled based on that. But we did have to set another trial date, which is in September 2020, which is, oh my God, 8 months away, 7 months away. And but I did speak in depth with Crown Counsel Nicholas Barber, as well as one of the other West Shore RCMP members, Staff Sergeant Greg Pask, about their concerns about the material that's on the cameras, because they may be returned soon if they do not proceed with this matter. And had some interesting things to say about my material that I recorded, and some material that's already out on the internet and has been for a while now, that they apparently didn't know about, but whatever. So that's just a little update for today, March 3rd, 2020. This prosecution may be sunk. Currently it's sinking, but they may revive it, and it may be a ship that's going to sail after all. I guess we'll find out. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned. We'll have an update sometime later in 2020.
Good morning, the Crown Council.
Hi, good morning. I'm looking to get in contact with the supervisor of one of the Crown prosecutors.
Okay. Do you know specifically who you're trying to contact, or you're just wondering who it is, or?
I'm trying to contact the supervisor of one of the Crown prosecutors.
Okay. So I would probably put you through Basil for now, but he's actually unavailable. He's in a meeting. So can I take your name and contact number, and I'll have him give you a call back?
Oh, for sure. My name is Dan, and I'm in Victoria. My phone number is 250.
And is it about a Nanaimo Crown Council or someone from down there?
It is about a Crown prosecutor from Nanaimo, yes. He is from the Nanaimo office, yes.
Okay, I will pass this message on to Basil, and hopefully he can give you a call back.
Oh, and I didn't get your name?
My name's Gabby.
Gabby? Thank you for your help. Appreciate it, Gabby.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is a message for Dan. Dan, I'm calling in response to your phone call to the Crown Council office in Nanaimo. If you want to give us a call back, please do so at 250-741-3711. Thank you. Good morning, Nanaimo Crown Council.
Oh, hi, good morning. I'm returning a call from Friday. A person left a voicemail, but I didn't get their name, but you sound exactly like the person that left the voicemail. My name's Dan.
Okay, Dan, it wouldn't have been me, but it might have been Ayla, so let me send you through to her, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Andrew speaking.
Hi, I'm returning a call from Friday. My name's Dan. I live in Victoria.
Okay. know who it was that called you?
The lady that answered the phone, because nobody left a name. So let me just maybe back it up a little bit. I called last week to speak to a supervisor about making a conduct complaint and how to go about that. And the person that I originally spoke to said that I should speak with Basil, and I didn't hear back from Basil, but somebody did call and leave a message for me to call this number to reconnect.
And who was the complaint you were wanting to make about?
Who, the person?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to make a complaint, but I just want to know. But it's Nicholas Barber.
Let me just see if Basil is available.
Okay.
And then I'll see if I get some more information. One sec.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Dan.
Hello.
So I found out who was that called you. It was Jessica, who is our regional admin crown.
Okay.
She is just in a meeting at the moment. I can take a message and ask her to give you a call back when she's done in that meeting.
Sure. Yeah, I will be leaving. If it's sooner, the better. Because I do have to work a little bit later, and I was hoping to head out earlier to go to work. But yeah, that's fine.
Let me just check if she's back. One sec.
Thank you.
Hi, Dan.
Hello.
So she is back. She's just in the meeting at the moment. So she said she's available until 12:30 after this meeting, and then she's available after 3:30. Is there one of those times that works for her to give you a call?
Well, I was hoping to leave soon, but if she doesn't connect with me today, if she could leave me a voicemail, and the next time I'll be able to call is Friday.
Okay.
So
why don't I just have her give you a call then on Friday? That's probably the easiest thing to do because I think she'll be on the phone until you have to leave.
Okay. Yeah.
What's the best number for her to reach out on Friday then?
Yeah, it's in Victoria, so it's 250.
Okay, no problem. I'll pass that message along and ask her to give you a call.
And that was, you said her name was Jessica?
It's Jessica Patterson.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
I know.
Saved message 1642 sent by 12507398733.
Hi, this is a message for Dan. I'm calling from the Crown office. If you would like to speak to someone here, please call back at 250-741-3711 to our reception, and we'll try to speak with you. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
To replay this message, press 1.
Good afternoon, Crown Council.
Hi, good afternoon. Looking for Nicholas Barber, please.
May I ask who's calling?
It's Dan.
I'm sorry?
Dan?
Dan? Do you have a last name, Dan? And will you know what it's regarding?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Let me just see if he's available. One moment.
Thank you.
Doesn't look like he is. Can I take a message for you, Dan, and pass it on to him?
Sure. I mean, I'll I'll probably just send him an email anyways, but can you let him know it's been 18 months since the information was sworn on my quote charge unquote, and he's failed to prosecute me in a reasonable amount of time, so I'm just wondering what's going on, and if he's willing to further violate my rights by not prosecuting me in a reasonable amount of time.
Okay, what's your phone number?
It's 250.
You don't happen to have a police file number, do you?
I can give you the court file number.
That would be awesome.
It's in the Western Communities in Colwood in the Greater Victoria area.
Oh, okay. That's why I can't find anything under.
Yeah, they couldn't prosecute me down here because I'm a conflict of interest, because I've put several YouTube videos out of the Victoria Crown Council members misleading judges and lying to judges, misleading them in order to have me held in prison for an offense that I could not have committed on the court record. So they can't prosecute me down here. So they have to throw you guys under the bus, unfortunately, whenever they want to violate my rights.
Well, it would have been
I understand.
Just bear with me.
I appreciate your cooperation.
Oh, no problem. Are you keeping safe?
No, I'm an essential worker, so I have to get out there every day, work 10 hours, and risk my life for people that get to sit home and get drunk.
Well, I am not drunk, believe me.
Oh, I'm not saying you are. I should also mention that I'm also calling regarding to the threatening conduct he made towards me at the Western Communities Courthouse on March 3rd, 2020.
Okay. So you said the police file number was
No, the court file is
Oh, sorry.
no problem. I was also supposed to receive a phone call from somebody, an admin there named Jessica.
Jessica Patterson, maybe?
That's the one. She's the one. Yeah, that's the person who refused to call me back after I waited around an entire day for her to call me after we made arrangements with your office for her to call me on a specific day.
Okay, schedules, I can't, I'm just looking for something here. Your comment on why she hasn't phoned you back? I don't think it's avoidance.
Well, I had made arrangements on a Wednesday in early March for her to call me on the following Friday. Your office had made that arrangements with me and her, and so I waited around on that Friday till about 4:30 in the afternoon, and I thought, okay, they're avoiding me. They're not going to call me. They're just going to leave me hanging as per usual. So I've got to get out and do stuff that I have to do. And when I got home after that, I got a voicemail from your office at 4:42 or 4:43 saying, yeah, if you want to talk to somebody, give us a call. Have a good weekend. Click.
No.
And I'm assuming that's the time your office closed.
We close at 4:30. We're open from 8:30 to 4:30 every day, Monday to Friday.
Odd they would call me back at 4:42 or 4:43 p.m.
Well, some people, we don't always get out of there on time.
And then they wished me to have a good weekend.
Okay, I don't seem to be able to find anything, but I do have your phone number. So I definitely will pass the message on to Mr. Barber.
I appreciate it.
Okay, well, you have a good day. You stay safe, and I'll see that Mr. Barber gets this message
Sure.
right away.
Could I just get your first name just so I can recall in the future who I've talked to about this?
Yeah, my name's Bev.
Bev?
Bev, B-E-V.
Thank you for your help, Bev. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Take care.
You have a good day.
You too.
Bye now. Bye.
Good afternoon, Council.
Oh, hi, is that Bev?
Yes?
Hi, Bev. It's Dan. We just recently spoke on the phone.
Sure did. Hi.
Hey, I was wondering if you could possibly help me out with getting Jessica Patterson's email address.
No, we don't provide Crown's email addresses. Sorry.
Okay.
I can get a message to her if you want.
I already tried that, as I explained earlier a few weeks ago. I actually had your office arrange a date for her to call me, and she refused to do that. She completely avoided me and left me hanging for an entire day, and then somebody from your office called
Right.
15...
Right. You told me that. So if you don't want to leave a message for Jessica, it's our office policy. We do not provide staff members' email addresses.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying that's kind of the only option I'm left with now if she refuses to call me back.
Yeah.
And is completely avoiding me.
Oh. Is that all, Mr.?
That's all, Bev.
Okay. Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hello, good citizens. Welcome back to Documenting and Exposing West Shore RCMP. This is part 24. We're going to go through some interesting emails here. So just to bring it back up to speed, my trial ended in a mistrial and has been rescheduled for September, which is 6 to 7 months away. And I've tried to inquire about how to go about making a conduct complaint for Mr. Barber threatening to follow me home. And just got the runaround from their office. The only interest they have in this complaint is to waste my time. So that's fine. So I last contacted their office with that message to Mr. Barber about if he's going to continue this prosecution past the 18-month mark, then he's doing so contrary to the charter. He's violating my rights, and didn't hear back from him. So April 3rd, 2020, here's the email I sent him. It says, hello, Mr. Barber. Congratulations. Today's April 3rd, 2020, 18 months to the day that the information was sworn for my, quote, criminal charge, unquote. I'm writing you today, as no one from your office will return my calls or speak with me over the phone, to communicate to you that the summary offense I'm being, quote, prosecuted, unquote, for has reached 18 months as of today. And since the defense has not created any delays in this matter, I'm now being prosecuted beyond that reasonable amount of time, starting April 4th, 2020. As you recall, I called you out for intentionally creating unreasonable delays in this matter in writing way back in December 2018. I verified this with, quote, Michelle, unquote, recently in the Crown Office at the Western Communities Courthouse, that you had in fact been given a copy of that letter when I originally left it with Michelle way back in December 2018. How could I have known way back then that it was your intention to waste my time and wrongfully hold me and my property hostage for almost 2 years or more? LOL. So I just wanted to confirm a few things with you. First, that you're aware of the fact that today is on the 18-month mark of this summary offense, and that you're aware of the fact that this matter continues beyond today's date, that you're prosecuting me an unreasonable amount of time, and that you're aware of the fact that that is contrary to the charter. Second, the Honorable Judge Malin McKim declared a mistrial on March 3rd, 2020, and that you're aware that in the event of a mistrial, a retrial should be scheduled, quote, without further delay, unquote. Only a, quote, short period, unquote, of delay will be expected, and that a retrial was scheduled for September 2020, a delay of 6 months, after already waiting for trial since December 2018. Third, if this matter is still proceeding after the 18th month mark, and I'm waiting an additional 6 months for a retrial, then this is another reminder that you still have not responded to my letters for disclosure from 2018 and 2019. Specifically, I still do not have the, quote, security briefing report, unquote, that Corporal Kundu-Thomsen claims was the reason for my arrest, as he was required to fill out with my identification on it. So I need a copy of that, or confirmation from you in writing that no such document exists. Fourth, that you comply with the Honorable Judge Brooks's order that you agreed to in October 2019 to provide me with my CPIC, as well as respond in writing to the status of any warrants to search my devices, or a copy of any rejected warrants, or confirmation in writing that no such warrants or rejected warrants and related documents exist. I was ready to address this at our hearing in January 2020, but we got the Judge of Errors, and as you'll recall, I was kicked out of the courtroom by Robert himself without having the hearing that the Honorable Judge Brooks ordered. Thankfully, Paul Dome, Associate Chief Judge, informed me on March 20th, 2020 that, quote, Judge Higginbotham will not be presiding further on this file, unquote. So we can assume that there should not be any more injustices with respect to this matter caused by, quote, BC's most dangerous judge, Robert, unquote, himself. Fifth, that you provide me with a copy of the video that the file investigator, Staff Sergeant Pask, was concerned about me publishing when we spoke after the mistrial on March 3rd, 2020. The video where I am being escorted off of public property and into the secure backlot area of the West Shore RCMP detachment and into Cell's booking area. I have extensive records between myself and Corporal Christo Vell, who provided all the disclosure to me, about that specific video. So I find it alarming that I was not provided with that video for my defense at trial, considering the file investigator, Staff Sergeant Pask's, concern about me publishing it when we spoke after the mistrial on March 3rd, 2020, which I have no intention to do. Sixth, confirmation that you have reviewed the material on YouTube that I warned you and the file investigator, Staff Sergeant Pask, about, in where a person is allowed to wear a mask, this is pre-COVID-19, film all of the private vehicles and license plates of the visitor parking and the RCMP staff parking along Atkins Avenue at the West Shore RCMP detachment, and publish that material on the internet in a publicly viewable manner, as well as enter inside the detachment, which have clear signs on the doors about video, audio recording being prohibited inside, make surreptitious video and audio recordings while wearing a mask, acting aggressive towards and swearing at the RCMP members, and calling them insulting names and berating them, and publishing that material on the internet in a publicly viewable manner, as well as attending the RCMP detachment in Victoria on Nanaimo Street, in where this person is allowed to wear a mask while entering into a secure area, and was told to leave the property, but instead stated he was going to film license plates, and proceeded back into the secure area and film all of the private vehicles and every license plate in the lot, which consists mostly of staff private vehicles, and publish that material on the internet in a publicly viewable manner. Should I assume you're aware of and reviewed that public material for yourself? Isn't that illegal? Can't be if he's allowed to do it while wearing a mask, acting aggressive, and publishing it on the internet, right? Further, this person is also allowed to wear a mask and enter into Vic PD lobby and openly film private citizens who are there for official business. And when they ask this masked man not to record them or stop recording them, he replies in an aggressive manner, saying things like, quote, "I'd like to see you try." You try to stop him recording, unquote. And then publishes that material on the internet in a publicly viewable manner. He's allowed to do this, isn't he? No one can ID him or stop him from doing this, can they? Seventh, I'd advise you to remove yourself from this matter, Mr. Barber, on March 3rd, 2020, in front of court staff and an independent witness. You made it clear that you have an emotional attachment to this matter. And you demonstrated this by verbally attacking me in the courtroom by saying things like, quote, "This would all go away if you were a nice person," unquote. And even though I attempted to ignore you, you continued. Shortly after, as I exited the courtroom alongside the independent witness and Sheriff 639, and began again verbally attacking me, completely unprovoked, saying things like, quote, "You don't have to be afraid of people in suits," unquote. And as I stated to you that I'm walking away and not listening to you, you stated, quote, "If you don't want to listen, I'll just follow you home," unquote. And when you said this, I stopped and asked, quote, "Excuse me," unquote. And you responded by saying, quote, "Maybe I'll just follow you home," unquote. Both the independent witness and Sheriff 639 confirmed for me that they heard that you say this to me. These are some of the things when you say to a person could reasonably cause them to fear for their safety, especially when it comes from a person who holds some of the highest powers of public trust in the province of British Columbia. I can assure you, Mr. Barber, that I expressed my concerns for my safety to Sheriff 639 after the fact, and he assured me that your conduct was in fact not allowed in or around the Western Communities Courthouse by a prosecutor or anyone, and that they, the sheriffs, weren't going to permit you to do it again. After the fact, you apologized to me for inappropriate conduct, and I accepted your apology. However, given your position as a Crown Prosecutor, someone who holds some of the highest powers of public trust in the province of British Columbia, this needs to be addressed via your supervisor, and potential corrective actions should be considered. Obviously, you can't have Crown Prosecutors approaching self-represented accused persons and verbally attacking them, threatening to follow them home and causing them to fear for their safety, especially in a court setting. That would also be contrary to Criminal Code of Canada. Criminal harassment and obstruction of justice, imitating a justice participant, are the first that come to my mind. This would explain why no one at your office would return my calls, and why they won't give me the Crown Administrator's email addresses. Sounds like they're used to evading accountability and doing things, quote, their way, unquote. Or maybe they have something to hide? Since your supervisors are intentionally avoiding me, and I can't get their email addresses, Bev says they don't give those out, and this matter is continuing, I strongly suggest that you, Mr. Barber, hand this file over to another capable Crown Prosecutor that has no emotional attachment to this matter, and I can then possibly feel safe as a justice participant and may even perceive a fair trial/due process, but not likely. Eighth, I would like nothing more than to take this matter to trial. But considering the hostage situation / holding pattern you and Corporal Kundu-Thomsen have wrongfully forced upon me for almost 2 years now, and I should have actually added Staff Sergeant Greg Paskin there as well, because he's the file investigator, I have all but given up on criminal / provincial court justice, and I will rely on other proceedings for justice and accountability. I want my trial. I want to face my accusers. I want a judge's decision in writing. But I shouldn't have to wait an unreasonable amount of time and have my rights violated in the process. We both know why I've had to wait this long and why I'm being treated this way. It shouldn't have to come down to my rights being violated further and being verbally attacked and made to fear for my safety, just going through the court process. I'm glad I called you out in writing for doing this way back in December 2018. But if that's what you or your office intends to do, bring it. Just remember, I can apply to the courts for a remedy, and we can take the next few years, sort this out. If that's what you really want to do with your time and money, although at this point, I'm not sure you could avoid this. Cheers, Dan. And this is interesting because he responded to that email, and when I read the email, I saw there was this little disclaimer at the bottom of his email saying that this is a confidential message. So this isn't something I'm going to challenge. I'm not going to spend 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years in prison for publishing his stupid little email here. But thankfully, my email responses are not confidential, so let's review, shall we? So he did respond to me, and I responded to him. And I say, thank you for your response, Mr. Barber. To specifically address your last comment about the security concerns of the RCMP with respect to the videos on my devices, I was never there to film the public or any private vehicles or any license plates, and therefore would not make it into the news story I was gathering content for. Spoiler alert! How they handled dangerous driver complaints after one of their members was killed by a dangerous driver. That story has nothing to do with random people, private vehicles, or license plates, and if any of that is on my devices, it was strictly incidental to filming the target content, as explained on the notice. And none of that inadvertently recorded content will be considered for publication or would be published. So the first thing I need to do is inspect my devices to make sure they are not damaged or have parts missing or devices missing altogether. Then I need to inspect the videos to make sure none have been tampered with or deleted. If I find anything has been tampered with or deleted, I will be swearing in another private information, as I now have reasonable grounds and reasons to believe that some footage was in fact deleted by the member who is solely responsible for all of my devices being seized, Corporal Kundu-Thomsen. And of course, I found out later that they were just completely incompetent and couldn't find that footage that I'm referring to on that device. So when they gave it back to me, I found it immediately. And I figured out why. There's a little bit of a trick to it, but somebody that knows a bit about it explained it to me, and they said that that's why they couldn't find it. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. So it's just kind of interesting. I thought that they either deleted it or they were just withholding it and just pretending not to see it, which is still plausible, of course, but apparently the equipment that they used to inspect that device couldn't find it without something that they were crucially missing for that device. Won't go into that, but let's continue with the email. So unfortunately, the bargaining posture of the RCMP is highly dubious with respect to the content on my devices, as the arrest was unlawful, arbitrary, and not authorized by law. This would make the seizure of my devices also unlawful, arbitrary, and not authorized by law. If the RCMP were acting in good faith and truly felt that they were within their lawful authority, they would have applied for a warrant to search my devices and either use the material as per the search warrant for trial, or decide that the material does not meet the investigation, charge, prosecution standard and should have dropped the charges and return the devices without delay. Instead, after 4 letters in writing requesting that relevant material, which crystallizes the Crown's obligation to provide it to me according to case law and the Crown Council policy, I was left hanging with no response and no material for over a year, and according to you, I would only get that material if I waived my right to privacy, which I did. And from what a lawyer told me, was a dirty trick on your part. Waive my right to privacy for the material recorded on July 25th, 2018. I did not waive my right to privacy on any other material or other material on my phone. So the RCMP might want to jump on this and get me back my stuff with a sincere apology in writing, outlining what they did wrong. That might help them in the next proceeding, but I doubt it. It's probably too late for that now. And unfortunately, the RCMP was never privileged to my devices or the content on them. The only reason they got access to it to begin with is because you guys wanted to mess with a guy who is known to be a critic of the police and the Crown, and the best way to censor that type of person is to hold me and my property hostage until the time limit ran out for a summary offense. And here we are. Obviously, you guys were hoping I would react and get myself into trouble while on bail. Well, it's not going to happen, as you finally realized after almost 2 years of intentional mental anguish. If the RCMP is not willing to give all my devices back without delay, with all the original video, audio intact, unaltered, then they will need a court order or arbitrary actions. Lastly, I do not think the RCMP is really that concerned about my content on my cameras, as I clearly made no effort to film the public, private vehicles, or license plates. However, there is a person actively going around and doing exactly that in secure areas after he was told to leave the property, while wearing a mask pre-COVID-19, acting aggressive, swearing, insulting towards the public and the RCMP, and has published that exact material in a publicly viewable manner. That person has not been ID'd, arrested, had property seized, placed on bail conditions, or been charged with an offense. So the RCMP might want to jump on that and find this guy and do to him what they tried to do to me. Every day that goes by that this masked man is allowed to do all this only makes my case stronger. Why would you all put me through this hell when I didn't do what was alleged, and you all know it? But the guy that did do all that and more is allowed to freely roam around and continue to do it. Why is that? Totally up to you guys. You have all the high powers of public trust to do whatever you want. So it's 100% in your hands how this ends. Cheers, Dan. And Mr. Barber did not respond to that email. So anyways, 10 days later, I email Mr. Barber back and I say, Mr. Barber, is the RCMP all on vacation? Or are they planning on holding on my property for another 2 years? It's time to pay the piper. Where's my property? Cheers, Dan. So even though I can't show you his emails, the cat's out of the bag, because we're discussing getting my property back. So that means that the charge is stayed. Now, withdrawn and stayed are two different things. So if it was withdrawn, then it would be terminated. It's stayed, so that means I believe they can still fire it back up if they want to for another 6 months. But spoiler alert, they didn't fire it back up. The charges stayed and the 6 months did run out. And that's it. There will not be a retrial. More on that later. Let's get back into these emails. So he responded and I responded back to him. I said, thank you for your reply, Mr. Barber. I left a voicemail message on or about April 16th with Corporal Christovelle regarding our previous email communications and where you expect I will be getting my property back. There has not been a response as of yet, but I suspect the RCMP should return my call sometime next week. I'll keep you posted. Cheers, Dan. So, no one called me back. So, I called them back. Specifically, who I wanted to talk to was the investigator of the file, Staff Sergeant Pask. I'm only going to play clips from the phone call because the uncut call is 14 minutes long, and it's just a huge circular conversation. Turns out it's really hard to talk to an investigator of a file when the investigator doesn't actually know anything about the file. So here's just some short clips from that phone call.
So when we spoke at the courthouse, Dan, we discussed about possibly a contract and where are we at with that? Like as far as releasing what was on the cameras or like basically signing off that it wouldn't be released, or what was your understanding with with Mr. Barber after speaking with him?
My understanding is that you guys should have returned my property by now, and he's confused as to why you haven't, and he's instructed me to contact him if I don't hear from you guys, or if I haven't had my property returned, and he's going to jump on you guys about it.
Okay. So where were we at with that contract? Did he discuss anything about that?
He assumed that there was some material on my devices that I would not be publishing, some material that was inadvertently recorded, mainly because of the actions of yourself and Corporal Jones and Corporal Kundu-Thomsen, and I have no interest in publishing any material that was not intended to be recorded, as per the notice that I left with you guys. So that's Mr. Barber's understanding.
Okay. So what do we have, like, did Mr. Barber present anything to you as far as, like, any understanding that information, like, anything in writing that wouldn't be disclosed, or what was done there?
There's some emails between us. I wouldn't say it's in writing per se, but there's definitely emails about he was assuming that there's material that won't be published, like personal license plates and stuff like that, which I don't even believe I have, to be honest.
Okay, so did you receive a vetted copy of, like, as part of disclosure, you received a vetted copy of everything on your devices, correct?
Not everything, no.
No, okay. What, I wasn't part of the vetting process, so what was disclosed to you that you can remember? Well, I'm looking at the next, there hasn't been a state proceedings entered on this from what I can understand. The next appearance is September 18th, where he plans on entering a state proceedings.
Okay, you should check CSO.
Okay, because I'm looking at this
you should also
from the prosecution office right now.
I've also been instructed to ask you to contact my bail supervisor at Saanich Probation. Her name is Alana Watt.
Okay. Can she not contact me?
No, I've actually asked her for a letter in writing that this matter has been terminated, and she refuses to give me anything in writing. She said if there's any problem, have the police call me. So her name is Alana Watt. She's at Saanich Probation.
Saanich Probation, Lana speaking.
Hi, Lana. It's Dan calling.
Hi.
How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good. I'm calling in, checking in.
Oh, you don't need to do that anymore.
Oh, okay. I don't have anything in writing, and I don't have... all I have is my own personal inside knowledge by checking CSO. I don't have anything from Crown or my bail supervisor, which is you, or anything saying that I don't have to sign in or anything.
Okay, so you don't need that. That's not something that we usually do. It's pretty standard when you get your order canceled.
Yeah.
That it means Crown courts, they know that it's been canceled, right?
Yeah, I'm just covering my own arse because this has happened in the past where there was some issues with bail conditions, and I ended up spending 2 weeks in prison and was forced to plead guilty to an offense that I could not have committed, and it was all in the court's record. So I just want to make sure we got this all straight away before I feel that safe enough to not call you every 2 weeks.
Okay, well, I don't have time to write a letter just because it's been so chaotic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if something comes up and someone says that you're bound by conditions, they can always give me a call and I can confirm that you're not bound by any conditions because your matter got dropped, right? So that stayed.
As far as I know, but like I said, I don't have anything official that would, like, and it's funny that you say that because the last time I got arrested for bail conditions, I told the police, I showed the police what the bail conditions were, and they completely ignored it and arrested me anyway.
Okay.
That's the big whole 7-part series that I put on YouTube about the Victoria Crown prosecutors misleading judges in order to have me held in prison to retaliate against me.
Okay.
So, like I said, I'm doing this to cover my own arse. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing. I'm not.
I totally understand.
I'm not doing it to bug you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't exactly have the time to do it, and I'm not even in the office. So, I mean, you can always give me a call if something comes up, and or have them give me a call and see if they
okay.
Correct. You call me.
Because shouldn't I?
Yeah, we don't. You don't necessarily need a letter confirming that you no longer need to report.
Okay, I'm just used to them playing things really sneaky and knife in the back kind of thing. So I'm like I said, I'm not doing this to bug you. I'm doing this to cover my own arse because in my experience in the past, if I tell the police to look at the bail conditions or call my bail supervisor, they're just going to laugh at me and say, would you like a blanket for the night?
Oh, okay. If there is an issue that pops up, feel free to give me a call. But from what I can see in our systems, it says it's been canceled. It was canceled on April 8th, 2020. And there's no future court dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. So you no longer need to report. So.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Alana.
Okay.
Take care.
You're welcome. Bye.
And nothing happened for a week. So I sent Mr. Barber another email. And here it is. So I says to him, Mr. Barber, it has been a week since I left a voicemail message with Corporal Krista Vell, and no one has responded. Because of that, I just called West Shore RCMP and spoke with Staff Sergeant Greg Pask and inquired as to my property being returned. Staff Sergeant Pask is under the impression that my charge is still pending and that you are only staying the proceeding on September 8, 2020, approximately 5 months from now. He also had concerns about the material being returned that had video footage of inside the detachment and the walk through their back lot. I explained again that the material of the back lot was never disclosed to me, and I can only assume it was deleted without a court order. So from my perspective, that clip does not exist. If it does, it still needs to be returned to me intact, unless they have a court order that says otherwise. As I explained to both of you on March 3rd, 2020, I have no intention of publishing material that was video recorded after my arrest. It was never my intention to gather video clips inside a restricted area. I also have no intention of publishing material that contains a woman and her child inside and exiting the detachment. As you will recall, the video depicts myself intentionally adjusting my body cam over to the right and away from those persons as much as possible. That being said, it should not be an issue with any of the material, as I have informed both of you that there is a person who wears a mask pre-COVID-19 who surreptitiously recorded inside their detachment when there were signs that say it is prohibited on the entrance. And this person acted aggressively, swore, and made insults to the staff. He also recorded every license plate of the visitor parking and civilian staff parking, approximately 30 vehicles, in where he went around and held his camera right up to license plates, and has since published this material on the internet in a publicly viewable manner. And there's the link to the actual video. He also went to the RCMP detachment on Nanaimo Street in Victoria, was told to leave the property, and stated he was there to film their license plates, and entered into their secure area after being told to leave their property, and recorded all of the license plates on every vehicle in their secure area, approximately 50, and has since published this material on the internet in a publicly viewable manner. And there's the link to the original video, which he's since taken down. Why is this person allowed to record and publish the exact material that I was accused of recording, which you guys knew all along I did not? And I have to go through almost 2 years of intentional mental anguish, but this orange man guy is allowed to freely roam around, recording and publishing the exact material I was criminally prosecuted for? Please talk with Staff Sergeant Pask and advise him to return my property, all videos intact, ASAP. You guys have already stepped in it big time by doubling down and taking it this far. I strongly suggest you do the right thing now and pursue this masked man who is committing acts that I was prosecuted for, even though it was clear all along that I did not commit those acts, and you guys knew it all along. Cheers, Dan. So, the investigator of the file, Staff Sergeant Greg Pask, has zero clue on the videos. Zero clue what's on the videos, what's on the cameras. And zero clue what was disclosed. And zero clue of the state of the file. This is the guy that wrote the report to the prosecutors to make sure that I'd be criminally prosecuted for no crime committed. Yeah, he's the investigator of this file. This is his baby now. How's he doing? I even sent this email to my buddy Bruce Dean about this. I says, the funniest thing is Pask is the investigator of my file, and he has zero clue on the videos, what's on them, and what was disclosed, or the state of the file. Can you imagine being a staff sergeant and the investigator of a file, and where you have zero clue on the video evidence, you have zero clue what's on the cameras that were seized, you have zero clue as to what was disclosed to the accused, and you have zero clue on the state of the file where you recommended charges, criminal charges, for somebody to be criminally prosecuted? You have zero clue. So anyways, Mr. Barber obviously eventually contacts Staff Sergeant Greg Pask, the investigator of the file, and scolds him for not returning my property. So shortly after this, I got a phone call from Staff Sergeant Greg Pask. Ah, yeah, it's time to pick up my property. So come on with me. Come on down to West Shore RCMP. Let's go pick up my property. Come on. Hello, good citizens. My name is Dan. Today is April 30th, 2020. And I've just picked up my property, my cameras, my cell phone. Well, that's going to wrap up part 24. So the charges are officially dropped. I have my property back. I'm now back in business. But it's now on to the lawsuit. And stay tuned, folks, because part 25, it starts right out of the gate, man. We are in for a very rough ride with this lawsuit. So stay tuned for part 25. I'm telling you right now, if you're not mentally prepared for part 25, it's going to hit you hard. Wherever you're watching part 25 from, fasten your seatbelt. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.